think that what you just presented in many different instances is just a diet victim blaming way, because it's still saying the old school people in your day said that you shouldn't be showing, you shouldn't be advertising what you ain't selling. That is still predicated around respectability politics that says today the phenomenon that we're getting into is the historical event Freaknik and how it relates to consent, body autonomy, and gender violence. In this video of defining the phenomenon of what happened at Freaknik is acknowledging that yes, men are also victims of sexual assault. Yes, women can take advantage of men. This does not negate how patterns, how desperate impacts make it where women are disproportionately impacted by sexual violence or gender violence. This does not mean that women cannot be perpetuators of it. This means that women typically disproportionately are represented as victims. Oh yes, education is elevation. It's time to get started. I'll start by saying I'm an individual that don't like when their intelligence is being insulted, especially when it's something that I consider unethical or immoral. Shout out to the individuals that was on my Consciously Speaks Facebook page in the comment section. The reason why this video was inspired, I made a post saying specifically, it's not the mamas and aunties who should be worried about the Freaknik documentary. It's the uncles and dads who was being predators based on these clips. And it was a few dudes, you feel me, that jumped in the comment section and they had some things to say. You know me, I'm a facts of the feelings type guy. So without further ado, we're gonna jump right into this. Right here, I've compiled some videos, some footage of a lot of clips from Freakniks. Trigger warning, we'll be talking about assault. And the purpose of this video is to put a little bit of, I guess, I feel like educational, historical context around Freaknik that's not just the cultural sensation and great parts of Freaknik, but also kind of the ugly shadows of, you feel me, Freaknik that we didn't hear about as a kid as much. Hey, let's do it.
Now, I would not grab your body, but there are people that will. That will, right. So you should dress appropriately. So I was
in that state because, you know, that's just me. I had a little shirt on, I had a little shorts on, I got it, I was grown.
it's great atmosphere. It's just like being in a ball game. Once everything gets going, you walk around there and you get grabbed. Don't be crying at the end and say, oh, well, I didn't know I was going to get raped. Or I didn't know I was going to get funky. You can't say that because she was walking around down here showing a lot of her body that she's asking to be raped. That is just her saying that she is showing her body. She's a beautiful black woman.
What we see here is the common argument that's even being made here in 1998. I'm going to be reading the dissertation from 1990 or about the 1995 Freaknik, but we see the common argument. You see what I'm saying? What we know is that a lot of people have the sentiment that say, I'm going to treat a hoe like a hoe and a woman like a woman. So I'm going to greet her how I meet her. So if she's dressed eloquently like a woman, I'm going to respect her as a woman. If she's dressed like a hoe, I'm going to treat her like a hoe. And a lot of individuals think that is a rational mindset to have. To me, that sounds a lot like the logic of if I meet a black person and they dress like a thug, I'm going to treat them like a thug. But if they dress like a gentleman, I'm going to treat them like a gentleman. And we recognize that type of perspective when it comes to white supremacy and racism. I don't understand why we don't have that same energy when it comes to sexism and sexual assault. What I recognize is that Freaknik has become a cultural phenomenon when we think about how fashion, music, food, and all of these kind of different things jumping off when it comes to spring break during the 1980s all the way up into the 2000s. And what we know right now is that there are a lot of people making memes about how the aunties and the mamas are sweating. You feel me? How everybody, mama and auntie, is worried about the images that's going to come out and how they was shaking it and how they was throwing it back and how they was busting it open for Freaknik. What I realized is that the more clips I seen, I start to realize is like, oh no, it's not the aunties and the mamas that's gonna be worried about these clips and footage that's gonna be coming out. It's gonna be the uncles and the dads that's worried about this footage that's coming out. Because we see a lot of what we call rape apologists. You feel me? People that are being very sympathetic and sympathizing with individuals that are predators. And with that being said, I want to be mindful of the people that are being what I'm gonna call panderers of predators in the comment section. You see what I'm saying? And we're gonna do our best job to bounce them out of here. But you know, this space is for education is elevation. And being able to sprinkle a little bit more context and raising consciousness about the concept of consent, especially when it comes to I'm gonna call body autonomy. You see what I'm saying? And I'm gonna have a little metaphor about consent and money after this clip is being shown to make sure that the individuals that want to purposely be obtuse or the individuals that's never thought about consenting this way, I'm gonna try to dig in my teacher bag and be able to spill it out for you. You feel me? But here goes this clip.
BET Spring Break, more like one of their music videos, Gone Wild. The women bought into their roles as scantily clad sex kings, and the men acted out their wildest fantasies, shooting and directing their own hip-hop videos. The guys saw Spring Break weekend as an opportunity to cross the line between flirtation and sexual assault.
The festival where guys came to flirt with the thin line between flirting and assault. You know what we said? I want to play that back.
It's funny when I hear women say, when these rappers are calling, women an opportunity to cross the line between flirtation, shooting and directing their own hip-hop videos. The guys saw Spring Break weekend as an opportunity to cross the line between flirtation and sexual assault.
The guys saw Spring Break as a way to flirt the line between flirtation to flirt with the lines of flirtation and assault. I think that started off for HBCU students to go party for spring break, eventually took over the airwaves of Atlanta and eventually the nation about disturbing the peace, causing traffic, and assault. And we know we say facts over feelings, right? That's usually what we say. I want to make sure we got the footage here. When you shake the tree, the panderers of predators will come out. You see what I'm saying? What I recognize is individuals will speak for themselves, especially when it comes to their character. What does it mean for another man to tell another man that he's pandering when we're having a conversation about sexual assault? When we're having a conversation trying to raise awareness about consent and you start talking about pandering, why doesn't that speak volumes of your character in our mind? So you view women as sexual objects that always already is transactional, huh? If we pull up the definition of pandering and we apply it to this context, who do you think, you feel me, we're going to be able to have, you know what I'm saying, Pepsi challenge on? Do you think we're going to be dumping it on your head or we're going to be dumping it on mine? I hope you stay here for the whole time. And maybe if you feeling froggy, you will leap into this, you know what I'm saying, live. And I will slightly, politely, respectfully get on your head. Anybody can hop in that comment section and be a keyboard warrior. But it's not the same thing when you got to look me in my eyes on 4K. So just sit back, pull out your notes, be able to say anything. Yeah, we are easy, that's your name. Yeah, be able to pull your notes out, man. Put your pen in your notes out. Write down all the arguments you think that I'm saying in terms of pandering, and we can have a Pepsi challenge on who's doing the pandering, because I think you're pandering for pederasts. I think you being a rape apologist. I think you being a sympathizer of sexist and sexual abusers. You see what I'm saying? And I don't think you're gonna be able to mess with me. You see what I'm saying? And hey, Preston, if you are intimidated by my big words in the syllables, go get you a dictionary, sucker. Just like you're able to use your device to make that comment, you're able to use your same device to go to Google and be able to decipher the words that I'm saying. Y'all better watch the answer you playing with.
It's funny when I hear women say, when these rappers are calling, women bitches and hoes, they're not talking about me. It's like, yo, they are talking about you. If George Bush was to get on national TV and make a speech, and he started calling black people niggas, would you be like, I don't know who George Bush is talking about, but he ain't talking about me? So they coming out here, they ain't showing, know what I'm saying? We're gonna snap on the hands. That's just the way it is, know what I'm saying? We represent all the niggas.
I'm gonna meet him how I greet him. I'm gonna see him how I greet him. I'm gonna see him how I meet him. Now, what I'm recognizing when it comes to stereotypes is I'm also an expert on white supremacy and how different people are racialized and how that's put onto bodies. Well, what we're gonna point at is that the individuals, the men that are talking in this video, they are representing, well, I'm getting fancy with the words now. I'm gonna use the word caricature. They're using hip-hop, black, masculine caricatures. You see what I'm saying? That's how they seen almost. You feel me? Especially when we're talking about 1998. When we talk about big chains, when we talk about headbands, when we talk about being able to wear jerseys, we recognize that there are particular people that believe, hey, if I see an individual dressed this way, they're a thug, a rapist, a drug, a criminal, all this, right? Unfortunately, we happen to be showing individuals that are basically saying, hey, man, I came out here to assault women. I came out here to put it on for the real niggas, and I'm going to grab and touch what I want to do. You see what I'm saying? And what I know is the same dudes in the comment section right now is probably a woman that's been in the club and was like, hey, man, that dude right there, creep, touchy, feely. You feel what I'm saying? And y'all usually the dudes that's forcing yourself on the women that y'all really y'all orient yourselves to women like white supremacists do to niggas. You see what I'm saying? And when you replicate the logic of white supremacy, to me, it don't make you nothing but an agent of white supremacy. But we gonna keep the video going.
Jezebel, Florida, trying to get on these hoes, slap a nigga on the ass, and they representing that fine, soft ass. That's what I'm talking about. I heard you saying something. You gonna hit somebody with your pocketbook?
No, I was gonna hit somebody with my fist.
You gonna hit somebody with your fist?
Yes.
Why? What's happening?
Well, I'm being touched and it's unwarranted and unwelcome.
Some people say it's just boys being boys, but I think it has a lot to do with boys figuring out early that girls are there for us to sexually objectify or to be our playthings.
Okay, don't take that there. Oh, Jesus.
I've been doing a lot of walking around and videotaping and things like that. A lot of the women are having a real hard time moving through the crowd.
Yeah, that's one of our biggest problems. As you can see, we're spread kind of thin. We can't be everywhere. So our concern is that somebody's going to be accosted out here and just don't want anybody to get hurt or raped or anything like that.
Have you made any arrests?
Not so far. This weekend, so good.
Education is elevation. I'm about to use what they call the 3-tiered methodology. That right there was me presenting people with their personal experiences about this issue that we're talking about when it comes to consent and Freaknik. Now I'm finna show you an academic, you see, an academic intellectual that's done research, you feel me, dug through the archive and been able to pull up what was going on and how it was going on when it comes to the Freaknik, right? Right here, what I have is a dissertation that's pulled up. That's where I got this name from. You see what I'm saying? And what we know is that largely, this is in context of, you feel me, what is going down. And just to be clear, right? Freaknik, from my understanding, was a beautiful place for Black people to go and celebrate and have a good time. As the older I've gotten, I've learned that there are a lot of other parts of Freaknik that we don't talk about. And spoiler alert, when this Hulu documentary come out, you're going to see the rise and the fall of Freaknik, and this very subject I'm getting into today is literally what it's going to be about. So what I'm highlighting here is the particular part I'm talking about right now, is that it's all fun and games when boys want to do the slut shaming and like, ah, man, your mama and your auntie worried because we're going to see her for the hoe she really was. When in actuality, I think this documentary is going to show, nah, man, y'all boys been on some predator type shit for decades now. And you believe that you can victim blame and say, hey, man, hey, if you decide to wear and show some skin in a particular way and I'm enticed by it, that's your fault that you turned me on, and whatever I do to you, hey, man, you brought it on yourself. The media's focus on sexual violence can be seen as an example of the negative associations fundamentally linked to Freaknik 1995 that will guide the actions of the cities in years to come. Marion Mayers, in her article, African American Women in Violence, Gender, Race, and Class in the News, examines sexual violence at Freaknik throughout the 1990s until 1995. Examining news reports and print media coverage and events, Myers attempts to show the most media outlets depicting females as stereotypic Jezebels whose lewd behaviors provoked assault. If you look into the comment section on my Consciously Facebook page, you're going to see a lot of gentlemen engaging in and linking to this very argument right here of depict women, how I would say, as victims of stereotypic Jezebels whose lewd acts and behaviors provoked assault, i.e., it is their fault. Do you know a man had the audacity to hop in my comment section and tell me it is our duties to teach women how to navigate sexual assault? That's what the job is. My response to him was, don't you think it'd be preposterous if a white person tried to give you survival tactics on how to navigate racism? Seeing that they haven't had to navigate racism, so they survival tactic skills and what they give you is probably not going to be that good. The same when it comes to you, a dude, a man that probably doesn't deal with a lot of, you know what I'm saying, welcoming wants of sexual assault. And to be clear, I'm not saying that men don't experience sexual assault. I'm saying that when we talk about disparities, we can recognize there's an overall pattern for how women are typically doesn't mean all the time, typically are victims of assault. In the weeks after Freaknik 95, Mayers illuminates how the spoken text blamed women for their own victimization, while the visual text at times contradicted this. And how it showed you videos that contradicted this. Mayers' works calls to further study a comparison within media depiction of sexual violence during white college parties. In the work of it alludes to the racial undertones prevalent in the media's depiction at Freaknik, with a smaller crowd than the previous years and more police oversight. So what we're seeing here is that this is not just me giving my opinion. This is not just me getting into, you feel me, my feelings. This is me giving you an analysis about consent. We're giving you a little historical context.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
Okay. What we talking about? Let's talk.
Yeah. I mean, you was able to catch any of the live. We're talking about.
I did, man. I did, and my only thoughts is with it. I think you definitely on point, and ain't nothing for me to say to you about your part. I think, with me having two younger sisters, my heart is set on just arming them with the ability to recognize and discern and keep themselves out of situations that could be harmful. And I'm not trying to say in any way that a man is not at fault and that it's the woman's fault, victim blame, but I do want my women sisters to be as smart as possible. And I didn't know if you could maybe expand on that, or
I think it's a slippery slope. I think that when we use the example of right now we're talking about sexism, we're talking about oppression, we're talking about gender depression. You see what I'm saying? And we're saying that, hey, now women shouldn't put themselves in positions to be assaulted. To me, It sounds like, hey, black people, a white person is saying to you, hey, you shouldn't put yourselves in position where people can be racist to you. And to me, I just think that that's like, that'll be a preposterous thing for a white person to tell me it's a black person. So I'm flipping it and being like, I think that it'll be like preposterous and almost facetious. That's the word I want to use, to be like, as a man telling a woman, you feel me? Like, hey, don't put yourself in positions to be sexually assaulted. Because to me, it almost creates a climate that says that, hey, there are particular times or spaces or places that I think it is rational, conducive for you to be assaulted. And I think that if I switch it, right, there is no space or place that you and I identified that we believe is rational for us to be victims of, you know what I'm saying, of racism. You see what I'm saying? Whether we go to predominantly white University of Oklahoma, whether we go to a country club, whether we go to a bar with a whole bunch of white people, we recognize that it's not mean you can call me the N-word, you can't touch my hair, you can't, you see what I'm saying? And if we go with our pants hanging, we know don't mean you can do that, right? So for me, when we adjust it, it's like, okay, so if you're a woman and you go to a bar and your ass is hanging out, why is that not the same as me going to a bar with my ass hanging out and I'm sagging?
Yeah, I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? And I just know, based off of all the work that I've done, specifically when it comes to this topic of sexual violence and gender, you feel me? I think it's about the consent thing. Going back to what I was talking about, the $5 thing, it's like, hey, you feel me? If I go to the club and I got my money hanging out,
right, it's not yours.
That doesn't mean you're supposed to rob me.
Right, it's not yours.
Hey, does robbers exist? Yeah. Do thieves exist? Yes. But we should never create a narrative that almost justifies being robbed.
Right.
That's how I see it. You see what I'm saying? That's how you feel me. That's how I, you know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, as a black man, don't never tell me that, hey, you should be mindful of where you go, because they can be racist to you. And I think that that's just kind of, you feel me, how I do that. But shout out to you, Cam. I appreciate you coming on. I'll let you feel me, say that. And then we got Never After 89 up. And then I see Scorpio Goddess, you know what I'm saying, back there as well. Shout out to you. Oh yeah, shout out to you, fam. Yeah. Feel like we having a cool little conversation, man. You know, shout out to you, Never After 89. The floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So my thing about Freaknik, and I kind of made that a comment in your YouTube, I think is probably one of the earliest like recordings of sexual tourism and all of the horror that also brings along with it. Because what people don't seem to be understanding, I also made that comment on your Facebook post. What people don't seem to understand is that this whole documentary is more than likely going to re-traumatize a lot of women that more than likely it's hard for me to put into words, but basically it's probably going to re-traumatize them, reliving the worst moment of their life. Because the little clip that you saw, she was getting her fucking clothes ripped, excuse my language, she was getting her clothes ripped off. She's trying to walk through a crowd and there's hundreds of men literally ripping her clothes off her body. And then there's the other one where she was fighting back. I was just like, it was only going to take one or two men to get mad, and she would have been literally fighting for her life. Like, how many horror stories, how much trauma was pushed back down? It wasn't even initially supposed to be a quote unquote basically free for all sex fest. That's what I'm finding out too. And it's like, what's the statute of limitations on all this horrible shit these women probably endured? You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, some of them may have been inebriated. Okay, they were inebriated. That does not mean, like, as you just displayed, if I gave you $5, that does not mean your friend could come over here and take $5 out my fucking purse. But that's what happened to a lot of women. A lot of them probably saw one and was just like, sure, that one. And suddenly it's a fucking conga line of like 15, 20. And I'm just like, what's funny? What is funny about this? This is... What is funny about these women probably going to relive their fucking rape trauma? And how many people are going to find out also because of this documentary they were also probably a product of rape and they didn't know about it?
And I think that
I'm sorry.
Man, not only is you speaking something that I feel like I should have been more reflective on, but it's something that I made sure I gave the trigger warning for at the beginning of the video, because I know what we're talking about is very traumatizing. It can be very triggering. It can make people relive, you know what I'm saying, those very horrible experiences. And I know that when we start to talk about oppression, a lot of individuals that, you know, they say hit dogs holler. A lot of people that feel like they being came for, they'll be like, what about? When we
Like
start talking about how
like
white folks
Thomas
are
talking
racist to
about something,
black
I never
people,
talk about female predators. It's just like that's because that's not the topic that we're talking about right now. Now, if there was female predators at Freaknik, they can get this heat too. It's not this or that. A predator is a fucking predator. Thomas Mingo. A predator is a predator. Okay.
a predator is a predator. And the fact that you felt like this was clever is really showing and reflecting your character. You see what I'm saying? Because
It's
it's coming
lying.
from the same hubris of white supremacy that says, hey, you always talking about how black people are being done wrong by white people. When are you going to talk about how white people are also done by black people? You see what I'm saying? The word I've been using here is desperate impacts. The word disparity, patterns. You feel me? Being able to recognize reoccurring themes. So if we can acknowledge that women are more susceptible statistically to be experiencing sexual assault and or harassment, why must you come up here with this whataboutism? As a former debater, former debate coach, this isn't a great argument. This isn't a great way to come into a conversation about sexual assault.
A straw man is just like, beloved, we're not talking about the female predators that also probably happened at Freaknik, beloved. Okay? Yes, Lori, it's deflection. It's like, why are you deflecting from this horrible topic? Do you know who was at Freaknik? Do you hear stories from your uncle, your father, your stepfather, your brothers, your cousins about what they did to Freaknik? And then you probably sat down and reflected, like, you know what, that's kind of up. But now, you know, you want to defend them. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey. What you really you I think that you was able to provide the first woman perspective about what is going on, that was able to kind of show my blind spots that I should have explicitly kind of talked about. So just, you feel me? I got Scorpio Goddess coming up next. What's your final parting words? You feel me? Before, you know what I'm saying, we bring, you know what I'm saying, bring them on, that you want to say to the audience or to me. You feel me? This on this topic of Freaknik and your aunties and your uncles now.
So I guess one of my final words is, as an Aries, I'm always prepared for war. So I will argue anybody down about this bullshit. The whole, like you said, the deflection that happens, the sudden defending of the predators. The other thing that we kind of have to talk about, because what's that word? Intersectionality.
Yes.
There's another circle that hits with this, and that's the whole. We got to talk about in the Black community why we are so fast and so quick to defend, protect, and deflect from the actual predators and actual people that hurt other people in our families, and why we are so quick to just step on the victims. Like, what's happening? Thank you, Lee, for having me.
All right, bet. So yeah, I'm gonna keep it short. It's just a couple points I wanted to make real quick.
One for Twitter as well.
All right, look. So 3 specific points I want to make real quick, and I'm out. First, cop the merch. You know what I'm saying? Research over me search. We don't play them games. If you ain't, get off the internet and read something. Get off the internet, pick up a book, study some shit like that. You know what I mean? Research over me search. That's it's a lifestyle. It's not merch. It's a lifestyle. Second, on this question of women predators, it's a very easy answer to this. Even the women that y'all are calling predators, what makes them predators is that they buy into the notions of gender politics that are both detrimental to themselves and to the women that they but both to them and like women and men. Like the women you are saying that are predators buy into the same perspectives of masculinity that you buy into. For example, those women that you call predators say what? A man can't be raped, right? A man can't, yeah, like you can't rape a man, right? You know what I'm saying? So if that notion of that predator perspective is literally what when women embrace, right, and internalize like a perspective of masculinity, you know what I'm saying? That we're literally saying is an issue. So if you're saying what about women predators also are criticized under the understanding that the way y'all view gender and gender politics is problematic as a whole. The women predators and then the male predators that we talking about operate under the same ideology. So when we're calling out that ideology, we're calling out the women who operate under those forms of gender politics as well. The last thing I'm gonna say before I let you cook, bro, is the wild thing about like the Freaknik situation and women doing this and women wearing that. those same men that be like they need to change how they need to dress more respectfully, that type of shit. If a gay man comes up to them and like and lets them know that they interested in them and they heterosexual, just lose they shit. Just be ready to fight. There are heterosexual men who, if they're complimented by a gay man, it's like, what's up? What you mean? What you mean?
Oh God.
So for niggas to turn around and say, well, this how she dressed, this, it's that. Why are you so offended when a gay man compliments you, right? Because it's unwanted. From your perspective, like, I don't want no gay nigga complimenting me. It's not consensual. It's not consensual. You don't want no gay man complimenting you. Those women walking
and
around in their bikini
too. It's not just complimenting. It's literally, hey, if you got your ass out, you got your ass out like you want somebody to grab it.
Now look, now so when we trying to understand why a woman in the bikini is like, nigga, don't touch me and do all that other shit. It's the same reason why a heterosexual man like flips out. You know what I mean? Actually, it's even more worse when heterosexual men do it because they operate from the same politics that encourage people to go out and hunt for mates and hunt for relationships and that type of shit. So I just wanted to add that, bro. Research over me search. Y'all make sure y'all cop the merch. Remember, it's not a slogan. It's a lifestyle. We educators in this.
Twan, take us away.
Well, I'm looking at this from a different perspective. First, let me say peace be unto you. I am a big fan, big fan, and I appreciate you teaching. That is what's missing, I feel, in our community. People are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And one thing I want to say about this whole thing about Freaknik, I'm old enough to remember Freaknik and to have gone. And looking at all of this from the perspective of a person who's going to be 52 this year. Number one, I remember my mother and father, when I started having sex, sitting me down and teaching me about what was acceptable and what is not acceptable. Number one, there's acceptable touching. Acceptable touching is when someone gives you the consent to touch them, no matter what is hanging out and all of that. And I just believe we don't teach our sons, nor do we teach our daughters who they are. Number one, for a woman, we need to start teaching our daughters that their body belongs to them. You are not put here for the pleasure of men. You are not put here for the attention and for the attention of men. You have a destiny. You are made in the image of God. Hell, you are the one who can bring life from eternity into time. Come on, is that not a goddess? I don't think our daughters and our sisters and our cousins and aunties, they don't know who they are. You know, just look at it from a child standpoint. When a child is born, the face of God is their mother. That's powerful there. Most women don't even look at it that way. So I believe if our daughters know who they are, their bodies belong to them, and no one has the right to touch you unless you allow it. That's number one. Number two, we got to teach our sons that, again, a woman's body is hers. You have no rights to it. Just because they're quote unquote the weaker vessel does not mean that you can just touch whatever you see. And we have taught, especially as church kids, we have taught people, men, that they are the strong one. They are in the image of God and they have dominion over the earth, while the woman is made in the image of man. If you read the scripture, woman and man were one. God put the human, Hebrew Adam, to sleep and separated the woman so that they could procreate. So they had to be one. We don't value the feminine, so we abuse it.
That's what it comes down to. Like if we being real and just simplifying it, we don't respect the feminine, and we believe the feminine is marked in a way to be dominated, to be acquired, and to be, you feel me, put into the pocket. So when we able to even describe femininity onto men, we see how we do men that are seen feminine. Anything gay, we see that a man being feminine means that you are right. You it's justifiable to dominate you. It's justifiable to whoop your ass. It's justifiable to bully you because you are feminine. And we know at the core of that is that we see the same pattern of how we treat the women across the board.
And I believe if women started exerting their power, start using their power, if they could touch you, cut his ass. That's the thought.
They don't. I feel like what I recognize is on Facebook when people were saying, well, if you want to do something, like unless you're wanting to forcibly move predators, we have to teach women how to navigate X, Y, and Z. And it was like, do you hear yourself?
No. No. You touch me and the touch is not wanted, I'm gonna lay you out.
We got some issues.
I'm definitely gonna lay you out. And women have the right to do that. My last point is probably gonna get me in trouble. Like I said, I'm looking at this from an older person's standpoint. My grandparents used to teach me when I was growing up that, well, the women used to tell the young girls, don't advertise what you ain't selling. Now, that might be old wisdom today, but it saved people's lives. Not to say that even if you're dressed from head to toe and you got on Usher stockings and, you know, the white stockings that you can't see through and all that, and you're wearing the flats and not heels and all that kind of stuff, even if you're wearing that, yeah, sexual assault can happen, and it does. However, I feel like if a woman says that she wants to have 12 today and she wants them to run a train on her, if that is what makes her feel good about herself, if that is what makes her feel empowered, if that's what she wants to do with her body, sister, do what you got to do. Get yours. I'm all for that.
But what? However, what?
However, if you are exuding sexual energy, you're going to get people who understand what that is and will respect it. And you're going to get those who don't because they don't know better. That's when you have to go into teachable mode, teach mode. Let them know, bro, you can't touch me like that. I will stab you in your throat right here. You know, and that's the difference. I mean, I guess it's just in my family. The women in my family, as beautiful and as feminine and sophisticated they are, them girls fight. They will wrap up that hair and box you like a dude. Don't play like that. So if dressing scantily clad and you have on the booty shorts, we called them Daisy Dukes in my day, and whatever you want to wear, that is your right. That is your preference. Do what you feel like you got to do, but don't do it for the attention of men. Do it because it makes you feel good about yourself. And I think that gives off a different energy than I'm dressed like this because I want men's attention. And if you get men's attention, you're gonna get some smart men and you're gonna get some ignorant. It comes with the territory. So I just think,
man. I think that the back end of what you said is still echoing respectability politics in a way that says that in order for you to survive, you have to survive by appealing to the people that don't want you to survive.
but what's wrong with being respectable?
What's wrong with being respectable is you have to appeal to the people that want to take your survival for your survival. That is the definition of respectability politics. The definition of respectability politics in this instance, hold on, this instance right here, we're talking about women wanting to be seen respectable or respectful by men, and what that means. What that means is, like you said, don't dress scantily, don't have Daisy Dukes on.
No,
that is respectability politics.
No. What I said was your mindset is what makes the difference. You could be dressed like Nicki Minaj out in public, but why are you doing it? I think that's what turns the knob on what energy you're exuding. Not that one is wrong and one isn't, but if you, like I said, if you're doing it for you and you let niggas run trains on you or whatever, baby, that is you. Be empowered, get what you need, Act like you need, and that's why I'm the one in the comments that asked, wasn't Jezebel a powerful, self-actualized woman versus a whore, like most churches teach that she was?
Nah,
Jezebel was
Nah,
not a whore.
Jezebel is a straight up caricature from the plantation that is a white supremacist, you feel me, manufactured idea for black women to be seen as sexual, promiscuous, and rapeable,
Exactly.
or seen as being unrapeable. So it's never was empowering. It's literally the Mammy, the Jezebel, the Sapphire. These are all specific positions of black women from the plantation that was made by the slave master. And that it's all centered around sexual deviancy. So Jezebels, by definition, are seen as sexual deviant.
But in scripture, Jezebel, we don't know who she had sex with. Jezebel was a woman who married a king, and she was powerful.
I think that two things can be true at the same time, and we can acknowledge the uniqueness of Jezebel in the Bible while also acknowledging the uniqueness of Jezebel in a racial context.
I agree.
And recognize that these two are the same thing. You see what I'm saying? So when I'm reading from that dissertation, it's literally getting at how, like literally, I think I still have it up. But it's literally getting at what you said right here. I'm finna pull it up because I think that the person that made this dissertation, they don't know you. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They know I was gonna have this, but I think it said something that they were able to explicitly write what you just said in indictment. You see what I'm saying? What I'm about to do right, literally, I'm pulling up the dissertation by Peter William Stockis. It's titled "Rethinking African American Protests, Freaknik and Civil Rights Legacy, Atlanta." What I'm doing right now is I'm going to the find. I'm typing in assault. This is what it says right here. Examining news reports and print media coverage of the event, Myers attempts to show that most media outlets depicted female victims as stereotypical Jezebels whose lewd behaviors provoked assault. I think that what you just presented in many different instances is just a diet victim blaming way, because it's still saying the old school people in your day said that you shouldn't be advertising what you ain't selling. That is still predicated around respectability politics that says, hey, sister, men are predators, and men believe that they are justified in being predators. And if you just dress in a way that invites predators, that's on you if they be a predator to you. That is the same logic. That is the same logic of if you dress like you from the hood, wearing hip hop or basketball gear, this gives the invitation for you to be stereotyped, to be racially profiled. We both know, you and I, you as an older black man and me as a younger black man, that's asinine, respectively. The same way it goes. Whether we're talking about 1950, 2050, 1960, it's like, no, regardless of what context and what time we're talking about it, we know sexual violence is real. And we know that women, like you said, you can have on a turtleneck and your ankles being covered and still get raped, right? So what I think about is, regardless of how you dress, the onus and power is on a man to say, hey, my thing is hard. I want to put it in you. I want to grope you, or I'm going to respect you as a man. I'm respect you as a person. And that is the core of it. Because once we able to go back to be like, nah, you dress in this particular way, you got the coochie cutters on and your coochie out. So that is the same logic. Like I don't get the distinction between the end of what you said, Twan, and what Thomas Mingo was saying and what Gabe was saying specifically about dressing. I don't get the difference
the difference is I come from a school of thought that says the only people who can stop oppression or abuse are the people who are being oppressed and abused.
I think that from an empowered way that makes sense, but I feel like as a you as a man saying it in a conversation, dialogue around sexual agenda, around sexual violence, it seemed icky. It's cringy. Think about it.
But your boys, your sons, and your nephews, and all of them have to understand what you feel about sex and sexuality, and your dick is gonna get hard, and this is what's gonna. That all of that about sex is natural. It's good. It's a wonderful spiritual thing that it's a gift that God has given to human beings. However, if you force that on anybody without their consent, it is rape. We're not teaching that.
But situate that what you just said with the context of you shouldn't be advertising what you ain't selling, and situate that also with the hey, just because if you want to go get a train ran on you, this, that, and the other, do your thing. Couple that together. Because we see that's the tension. That's the tension in what you're saying. The tension is rape is bad, but if you wear something to get my car and I want to rape you, man, you got to take responsibility in that.
It's what we put in the boys and what we put in the girls. We don't teach the girls how powerful they are. We don't teach the men how powerful they are. And we don't teach them together how they need each other. And even with sex, as wonderful and good as it is, there's responsibilities. You have to handle sex responsibly. And it is not responsible for you to go out and touch a woman because she has on leggings and her ass looks nice. You do not have a right.
Starting end point, right? I think that to me,
You
I
don't
feel
have
like
a right
that's
to that woman's body. Her body is hers, like I said in the beginning. However, like I said, I being who I am, and maybe I'm just still in how I was taught. That's not just for women, it was for me as well. You know, I understood that when Jordache jeans came out, or Jabos came out, I could wear the Jabos. I could wear the parachute pants and dress up like I was a break dancer, but that would affect how people saw me. When the Crips and the Bloods came out in my school, I could dress like the Crips. I got cousins who are Crips. However, that would affect how people saw me. But the most important thing, more than what I was wearing or was not wearing, is how I carried myself. That is the thing. How I carried myself as a respectable person and a person who was going to demand to be respected. That was the most important thing. So you teach people how you want them to treat you.
Yes, you teach people how you want to be treated. We also acknowledge that no woman gives off energy that says rape me. We also know that no woman, so the however part is what it's like what you say before that, like, a woman's body is a woman's body. My grandpa always told me, hey, everything that come after butt is shit. I think you did smooth, but you ain't saying but, you saying however. I also think that there's a consistency, right? I acknowledge that Gabe is younger than me. Twan is older than me. Thomas was the same age, right? What I acknowledge is there's a consistency of how y'all are structuring or sensationalizing dress. That's what I'm acknowledging. I'm also acknowledging is that the way that y'all gave y'all message, there was 3 different ways y'all gave y'all message. To me, the distinction in how what you're saying and what Gabe said, or what you're saying and how Thomas said, is that you're doing it in a more palatable, more monotone way that is also structured with a little bit of religiosity and being able to reference the Bible, but it doesn't change the however part. It doesn't change the I'm a little old school and this, that, and the other. And it's like, hey, listen, what I'm saying, I can take a pen and connect the dots from 2023 to 1983 to 1993 to 1963. It's like I don't understand if, like Chris Rock said, his mama said, don't do this for the white people. I know now it's like, hey man, I don't give a damn what your mama said. Your mama acting like you have to act a particular way in front of these white folks, that's some coon shit.
That's bullshit.
Right?
I agree.
So I'm still able to, hey, listen, but respectfully though, right? Respectfully, we can acknowledge that there was a time that Black people had to conduct themselves in a particular way to survive. We acknowledge that, correct?
I agree. Yep.
We acknowledge, though, that we don't have to be stuck in survival mode and we want to thrive. So go back to the gender example. Hey, yes, it is true. Older women have to tell younger women, hey, listen, sister, if you want to survive, you shouldn't be selling or you shouldn't be advertising what you ain't selling. That is a survival tactic when people are in survival mode. We in 2023.
But aren't we still in survival mode?
We should. Me, I'm not in survival mode. I'm in thrive mode. And I'm trying to, the reason why I'm teaching, when I say education and elevation.
As a whole.
As a whole in the community, we're trying, like, progressivism is about getting out of survival mode, bro, and getting into thrive mode.
I agree.
Survival mode means that they get to dictate the way in which we survive. Thrive mode, we get to be unapologetic and say the way that when you say women have to learn their power. To me, that is also acknowledging what it means to be stuck in survival mode. If you're in survival mode, I don't think you've activated your power. As a black man, I'm not in survival mode when it comes to race and racism. I'm in thrive mode. I'm in progressive mode. I'm in conscious mode. So as a woman, shouldn't women also have that same energy?